Well, hello, everyone. How are you doing? Oh, we're at the Hero Roundtable. How are you doing? Wonderful. My name is Captain Encouragement. And may I share a secret with you? My real name is Nicholas Domingo. I know it's a big deal. It's a lot to take in. We're one and the same. Do you know what they're calling? It's going to take me a while to get out of the voice. Do you know what they're calling the current generation? They're calling them the lost generation. Who in here has ever been lost? Now, lost doesn't solely pertain to being lost in life. It can be being lost in relationships, being lost in your purpose. Who here has felt that way? Now, when I took a look at society, I saw there's a lot of reasons that people felt lost, and here's what I found. I saw people being knocked down repeatedly, and they felt defeated. I saw people cast out for their differences, just because they were different and made to feel alone. I saw entire communities looking at the things in front of them and saying, there's no way we can overcome this. And they felt helpless. I saw kids every day being bombarded with vulgarity, over-sexualization, and violence. So much so that they became numb. And I saw people suffer silently. They were told it's not okay to talk about what you're going through and the pain that you feel. And in this darkness, they made decisions. And these decisions added to the current skyrocketing suicide rates, leaving everyone around them feeling grief. Now, this isn't the kind of world that I want to live in. It's not the kind of world I want for my wife and my 2 boys. It's not the kind of life I want for any of you. So what do? Well, we can say this is all there is. Or we can see a different future. Who would like to see a different future? Let's take a look at that different future and let's see what that looks like. In this future, I see where it's normal to extend a hand to someone who's been knocked down and they feel supported. In this future, our differences are the things that connect us. They're things that bring us together. In the same future, we know that together, there's nothing that we can't do because we're connected and we're empowered. In this future, we elevate the real heroes to TV, to the video games, and people watching feel engaged. And in this future, it's okay to talk about what you're going through and the pain that you've been through and to open up. And when you open up, you are vulnerable, but you feel joy. Now, I know there's a chasm between what is and what could be, right? So for me, I took a step back, and I thought, what can I do? How can I make a difference? And when I looked at myself, I said, I have the time, I have the knowledge, I have some of the skills, but most of all, I have the dedication. And when you have those things together, it also means, as many of you in this room know, it means you have the obligation to do something about it. So I got to work. The first thing I did was I acknowledged the organizations that are already helping build this bridge. There's organizations out there doing amazing work. I found the YMCA, incredible organization, a safe haven for people to go of all ages and get active, get physically fit, go have fun. It got me through some of the anger points in my life, and I felt rage and I felt upset. Another organization that really helped cultivate me was Challenge Day. Who in here has heard of Challenge Day? wonderful organization that connects teachers and students through the experiences that they've been through. I was very fortunate to be a Challenge Day instructor. Rotary Club. Who in here has heard of Rotary Club? Got some Rotarians in the house. Go Twain Hart Rotary. Rotary Club is an incredible organization. They have communities all over the world, and they are in the community to make an impact, and there's a service club. And I've been a Rotarian now for 4 years. And so what I did is I grabbed all the things that I learned from these organizations, and I thought, how can I make an impact here? What can I do with these things? And one day, 5 years ago, I was sitting down and I was drawing ideas, and I was like, what can I do to make an impact? What can I do differently? And I saw, because kids every single day, they're bombarded from messages from their parents, from their teachers, from their friends, from TV, from video games, and it takes a lot to get your message to actually reach them. And so when I was sitting down at the table, I was like, what if there was a superhero? And he taught kindness, he taught compassion, he taught anti-bullying, teamwork, leadership. This is what that drawing looked like 5 years ago. I was like, it would be really cool if this was real. I wonder what this would look like. So that's what we did. We developed a superhero who would teach real values, kindness, compassion. And we knew in order to make the biggest impact ever, we had to be 3 things. Number 1, we had to be bigger. Say it with me, please. Say bigger. If you're going to reach kids, you're competing for their attention. So we needed to do things much differently. So we need to develop a school assembly program, after-school programs, musicals, comic books, stickers, posters, all the things kids already gravitate towards. And that's what we did. And while we grew and made it bigger for kids, bigger stories started to show up. One story in particular. I went to the doctors to get my eye checked out, and I wasn't dressed like this. I don't wear this everywhere. I went to the doctors, and the lady said, "Are you Captain Encouragement?" I was like, "Yes." "Are you a villain?" She's like, "No. And she said, "My daughter is a really big fan. She was being terrorized throughout school. And then your program came to her school and did a presentation, did an assembly. And after this assembly, she was encouraged. She was encouraged and wanted to make a difference. So she actually created a leadership group. She went out and gathered up all the kids who had been left alone, all the kids who were left out of games, who were too short, too tall, all these other things. And she started a group, and they wait for each other at the bus now. By the way, this is a first grader. Number 2, we had to be consistent. Would you please yell it out with me? Consistent. If you're working with kids, you need to be constantly in their life because attention spans of children is not the longest. So we need to be in their life constantly. So what we did is we did revisits to these schools because it wasn't a one and done, because showing up, doing a great presentation isn't enough. So we were consistent. And stories of consistency that really made a big impact to us was we saw big changes. One of these changes was a story where we went to a school, one of our revisits after our school assembly. And we went there in the spring, and then we went in the fall. And what happened was when we showed up in the fall, they had their comic books. And they're asking, why is that a really big deal that they brought the comic books? The reason it's a big deal is because in order for that comic book to get there, they had to take it out of their desk, go home over the summer, and then put it back in their desk. And when I saw them, they were worn and torn, and they were asking me about the backstory of Captain and all the villains we took on in the comic book because the message was theirs. The comic book was theirs, and they enjoyed it, and they loved the story, and they loved the message. Number 3. We needed to be unforgettable. If you would, please. Thank you. We need to be unforgettable working with kids. And when you do things and try to be unforgettable, when you combine all these pieces together, you get unforgettable stories. And the story that comes from this was there was a mom and a son. We were doing a book signing in Sonora, California, doing a comic book signing. And I was signing books, and this little kid runs up to me. He's like, "Hey, Captain Encouragement." I was like, "Hey, buddy, how are you doing?" I gave him a hug, and the mom said, "My son is such a big fan." I was like, "Oh, thank you so very much. I really appreciate it." She says, "No, you don't understand. My son has ARFID, which is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. He doesn't consume enough food to grow properly. He actually struggles to eat most foods, and looking at certain foods will actually make him sick. And one day after school, he comes home and tells me about this hero he met named Captain Encouragement. And Captain Encouragement told him that heroes eat green beans, and that's one of the things that he eats to stay strong. And ever since that day, he will eat green beans. And after he does so, he shows me his Captain Encouragement muscles." Now, the question is, how do we take bigger? When you guys leave here today, you're all doing heroic work, but when you leave here, I want the bigger to stay with you, right? Right? So we're going to work on making sure that you can take bigger home with you. So the way that we do it whenever we do our school assemblies is we do something called the Pledge of Positivity. And we actually have some pamphlets out there, these little cards that you can take with you. So every Monday morning when you're about to start the week, you can say it, you can recite it. And if you would now, please join me by standing up. Put your hands on your hips. Chest up. Oh, wait, I might need this. And if you would, repeat after me. I pledge to stay true to my inner hero. To spread kindness, fairness, and love. To offer a helping hand. Never a clenched fist. To take a stand for those who stand alone. And to change the world. One smile at a time. It's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you.